Taoiseach has been quoted as saying that child poverty will be prioritised in the forthcoming budget, and which is so welcome, and we're all looking forward to hearing the budget. And it has been widely reported that the latest ERSI report has said that in 2025 Irish children are suffering the highest income poverty rates of all age groups. Child poverty and homelessness affects all aspects of life, health, and I don't need to tell you this, health, well-being, education and future careers. Children who experience poverty or homelessness are more likely to be poor or homeless as adults. There are three particular aspects which I would like to address today, and the first one is childhood hunger, food poverty, the second is fuel poverty, and the third is homelessness. We all know that there's children all over the country who are hungry, cold and living with a real sense of eviction. There are large numbers of families who feel a real despair about their future. And but I'm here today to raise this motion because as a party we raised this motion in the Dáil last week, and I'd like to hear what the Minister in your own department are prioritising the years to challenge and eradicate the three aspects of child poverty. According to the ERSI, 1 in 5 children now live below the poverty line once housing costs are factored in, which is a shocking statistic for a country as rich as ours. And a survey carried out at the end of 2024 found that almost half of teachers believe that more children than ever were coming to school hungry, and that the direct cause of this hunger is the cost of living crisis. Well, according to the CSO, general inflation is under control. Food inflation continues to grow at a rate of almost 5%, with staples essential for a child's development and growth, such as milk, eggs and beef, increasing rapidly. Nobody doing their weekly shop can have avoided noticing their increasing bills. And 2 years ago, Bernardo's reported that 24% of parents borrowed money just to feed a child. That 12% used a food bank, and 41%, nearly half of parents skipped or reduced their own meal to feed the child. Going to school hungry and going to bed hungry are realities which seem to have become normal, even acceptable to some, and they're not normal, and they'll never be normal, and they'll never be acceptable. Around 300,000 electricity customers are now in arrears, living in arrears, many of these families with children. Children living in damp, cold, and these are all in our own constituency. Cold homes cannot thrive and suffer increased levels of ill health, which will be with them for the rest of their lives. Electricity bills have risen by 69% and gas bills by 102% since January 2021. These are staggering increases in inflation figures, whether in food or energy, do not tell the true story of how families living in poverty. The choice between heating and your home and eating is stark. No child should be homeless, but yet we see 5,000 children are currently homeless. So what I'm asking today, Minister, and thank you for coming in, is what in the budget that's coming up, what are the real steps that are going to be the showing to eradicate child poverty, or have a policy or a strategy that is going to eradicate child poverty? We're calling as a party for an outright ban on evictions where children are involved, and I don't think that's something that can't be asked. There should be no way that children are going to be evicted into homelessness. So I'm asking for clarification. What are the commitments to protect children? And I raised this as an order of business last week that extends beyond, the provision of school meals, which are really welcome, but this is not going to change, or it's not going to change any. If a child's living in poverty now, where is that going to lead for their own future coming up? And I just want to know exact steps that are going to come up in the budget. Thank you.
Good Chandler, agus Ara Fáilte.
Agad Gahirlik has gone Wiggis and Chandler Cosgrove as an issue show Carlum. Thanks, Senator Cosgrove, for raising this issue. As you know, the Taoiseach has made it very clear that tackling child poverty and homelessness are key priorities for this government. It will be a focus, and it is a focus for Budget 2026. Our negotiations are ongoing, and all will be made available next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Programme for government commitments in relation to child poverty reflect the overall determination. We recently published a new child poverty target to guide this work. The target of 3% or less of child-consistent poverty to be achieved by 2030 is ambitious. It reflects a reduction of 5.5% from the current rate of 8.5%. It will require targeted investment across many areas of government, including income supports, housing, employment, childcare, health and education. Ensuring that every child has the best start in life will be one of the core focuses of Budget 2026, but also of this government. It's important to recognise that tackling this issue requires sustained and continued action. The cross-government actions will be outlined in the successor to the National Poverty Strategy Roadmap for Social Inclusion 2026-2030. The follow-up document is currently being developed by my department. It will be launched in the first half of 2026 and will have a very specific focus on child poverty. Our commitment to reducing child poverty is also reflected in investment in concrete supports. Over the last two budgets, each contained the largest social welfare packages in the history of the state. They included increases in core rates, including child benefit, but in the context of this discussion, the targeted payments of child support payment and working family payment. Government also invested heavily in services for families and children, including, for example, the expansion of hot school meals and free school books. Just, Senator, to let you know, the hot school meals programme is an investment of €300 million every year, and it makes a difference for many children whether they get a hot meal on that day or not. So these measures have yet to be reflected in the latest poverty statistics. It takes time for progress to be reflected in the official data. However, we are determined to continue to try and reduce child poverty, and we very much know much remains to be done. In relation to Budget 2026, we are very aware, and we are making it clear, of the importance of directing support to families with children where it is most needed. We know from research that effective means of achieving this are through targeted measures, and in particular the child support and the working family payments. In line with our programme for government commitments, we are continuing to explore a targeted second-tier child benefit payment. This work is underway. It will not be part of Budget 2026. However, the investment in the child support and working family payment is still quite significant. Senators' concerns are shared in relation to homelessness, are shared by the government. We fully recognise that supporting families on low income with housing costs, but more importantly, preventing and reducing family homelessness is a key issue and a cornerstone of tackling child poverty. That is why measures to accelerate the delivery of social, affordable and cost rental homes, as well as targeted measures to support families in long-term homelessness, is a key consideration for Budget 2026.
And it's welcome to hear that that there is going to be targeted measures. It's unfortunate there isn't going to be a second that there's not going to be a second child benefit in this budget. I suppose it's coming back to the real issue again about homelessness, like evicting a child. And we all know in all our own constituencies around the country, that's something that could be brought in very quickly and very easily. Is that if there is a family that have received a notice to quit, that they could be stopped from going until there's social housing built. And I recognise that there is huge, there is commitment to build more social housing, but in the meantime, there are children being evicted into homelessness, which we know the impact is going to live with them for the rest of their lives. It's disappointing to hear that there's not that can't be addressed in this budget, but I appreciate you coming in, and I hope that is something. We still have a week to go before the budget is announced, that there will be something that can be looked at again to just bring in a ban on evicting children into homelessness. Thank you.
Sarah?
Well, thank you, Senator. That ultimately is a matter for Minister for Housing, but I think it's also important to reflect that government, since we came into office, we've the Child Poverty and Wellbeing Programme Office. It's established in the Department of Taoiseach at the heart of the government with cross-departmental responsibilities. It's currently working on a dashboard that we'll all be able to measure progress. And rather than the siloed way of doing things, this dashboard will be able to show us where we're making progress, but most importantly, where we're not achieving things, and then we'll be able to get a focus. As I said, we've spoken about the new child poverty target. We now are looking at targeted increases in support, such as the child support payment and the working family payment, that go directly into families on low incomes, supporting children. And we continue to expand the hot school meals programme. By the end of this year, every primary school in the country will have access to it. There's expansion of the National Childcare Scheme and the free school book scheme. But it's not enough. It's absolutely not enough, Senator. I want to be very clear on that Taoiseach keeps all of our feet to the fire in relation to child poverty, and we want to get it to that 3% by the end of our term of office, but more importantly, 3% or less. Thank you, Claire.